Today, I'm going to show you how I install these 5th generation Camaro seats in a 2nd generation F-body, like this 1977 Trans Am we have here, so your Camaros are Firebirds. I'm going to show you how to modify the seats, I'm going to show you how to run the wiring, and I'm going to show you how to make custom brackets so it all fits together nicely. First, we got to get the old seats out. Now to get the seats out, it's pretty simple on these. You can see up front, we've got our 1/2-inch bolts on each corner. Let's get those out first. So why are we getting rid of these seats? I don't know that we really are, but we are for the time being. The 5th generation Camaro seats have a couple unique features to them that really lends nicely to doing stuff like this, and especially in the F-body cars, and I'll show you why when we put these in. But my legs are a bit long, and I'm not exactly a small guy, so trying to get the seat back further doesn't really work in these. Even with it back all the way, it's still not very comfortable to drive. I want to be able to road trip this car, and we are going to take it on a road trip. I just don't know where to yet. In the meantime, these are going to come out and we're going to put these into storage for a later project, and we're going to get some nice new seats in this car. And as you can see here, we've got our back 2 bolts. Let's go ahead and pull those out. All right, now that we've got the seats out of here, you can see more evidence, especially on the other side, and I'll show you over there, of why we're doing this. The seat cushions are disintegrating pretty good, and these other seats seem like they're going to fit in there pretty nicely. The passenger side seat's where we're going to earn our money today. There's quite a bit of floor drop in here, and there's a good size hump. We need 2.5 inches of rise. All right, so this corner is what I'm gonna base all of my measurements off of. So we're gonna mount this corner flush, and then the rest of the brackets, we're gonna build to spec. We're gonna do something similar on the driver's side, except we're gonna start with the rear on the driver's side. But for the passenger, we need to get some rise on these. So up we go, 2.5 inches. Now just doing some quick measuring on here. Our seat bolt patterns are the same for the driver's side and the passenger side. Side to side, it's 11.5, and front to back, it is 16 on money. All right, so we know at least the bolt pattern that we're working with is the same. Let's go check out the seats. Now to modify these seats, there's a few things that we're gonna need to do. We're gonna have to cut some of the accessories off. These guide pins and these retaining plates, we're gonna strip those off, along with the front forks. We're not gonna need those on our new bracket setup, and I'm also gonna cut off the seat belt guide. And to get these plates off of here, I'm just using my cutoff wheel. I'm just gonna kind of take the blade and go as close as I can right in between these two. Take a look at this. I got a track cleaned up. Same thing on this side. I'm gonna go ahead and get the next seat prepped up, and then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna wire these seats. And now is when we have to start marking out some of our holes. So we know that our width is 11 inches. These are a little bit wider than that, but that's okay. These are 16 center on center from the front holes. So we really need to be 11. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of math and make an inset bracket for these. All right, let's get our square lined up so we can start making some marks for our holes. And that one's centered up here. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. And 16. That one just needs a little bit of work to it to make it work. That's easy enough. We can get that out. To elongate the one rear hole, I'm just gonna use my rotary tool and a carbide bit. And that's got that hole elongated. Now let's drill our second hole. And then it's all the modification that we're gonna have to make to the frame of this seat. All right, got a brand new 5/16 drill bit. And our 5/16 bolt fits right in. One of the big things about these seats is they have a lot of modern technology. And with modern technology comes safety. One of the safety components on this, we're gonna leave in place because it's actually a structural component of the side of the seat, but we are gonna disconnect it. And that is our airbag. I'm gonna show you how to get into the back of the seat, and we're gonna disconnect this. Not only are we not gonna use the wiring in the connector, but I'm also gonna disconnect it physically from the airbag, just in case. So as long as you don't apply 12 volts to the airbag, it will not go. Now to get into the back of the seat on these, if you reach under here, you can just kind of pry a little bit. There's a plastic tab that just clips right over. Same thing on the sides. And these just fit right in these channels. So when we go to put them back, we're just gonna flip them right back in there. But as you can see, we have zippers. Get your pair of pliers and undo the zippers. And now we can see inside the seat. And there is our culprit of destruction. That guy's kind of hard to see in there, but I'm going to show you this connector once I get it out too. Take the tab out. Let me just use the pick to take that out. Grab our connector with a pair of pliers and pull it straight down. And this is our airbag connector. So when you see this, it's going to have the plastic pushed in, and you just take a pick and slide under some point of it on the side, and it pops right out. Now, because we're not using the airbag anymore, we're going to have something else that rattles. We're not going to be using this. It's never going to be used again. Make sure you just cut the airbag wire. And we're done in the back of the seat. And same thing. Make sure we tuck these in. There's some cutaway slots. It's a little easier, I think, if you do the sides first. Just get them in there and flip them over. Now we have our connector. And of course, we're not going to use the factory connector. It has other pins, wires in there, some sensors. Now, if you really wanted, you could go through and depin all of this, but it's not necessary. For what we're using, we just need power. And when you get into here, you can see there's two wires that are pretty easy to pick out, the black and the red. And these are the only two that we're going to be using because they're the only two that we need to power the seat. So we're going to cut those fairly even. So we're going to put those on our new connector. Everything else is no longer needed. And wiring that we're never going to need again. No going back now. It's got our positive and our negative. Let's show you what I'm going to use for my new connector. And I've got my orange bucket lid here just to give a little bit of contrast and keep some of these parts. But these are pretty slick. I'll make sure I post a link to all the products that I'm using in today's video, including these wiring connectors, in the description below. Full disclosure, this channel does earn off of qualified purchases. It wants the females in the male ends of the connectors. That's what we're gonna do. And you just want to be cognizant about which side you put the hot ones to when we put this all together. Take our crimpers, and yes, I know they do make better crimpers for this, but we don't have them right now. So we're working with what we got. Now for future reference, the right is gonna be our positive. So we'll keep an eye on that. It says you just push these in and they just clip in, all right? And this just kind of has a diagram of how these all go together. And these want the open end facing up towards the connector clip. Snap that up into place. With this connector, this wraps up our wiring for this seat. We've got our holes made and everything prepped on this seat to receive some new brackets that we're gonna make up. I'm gonna go ahead and get the next seat prepped, and then I'm gonna show you how we're gonna run our wiring so all this will work. We need our wiring hooked up before we make our brackets. That way we can slide the seat tracks to get everything bolted into place. Now there isn't a whole lot that we need to do for wiring on this, but we have some 12 gauge 2-strand wire. I've got 30 feet of this. To power everything, I've got our fuse taps for our glass fuses, a new fuse block, some various wiring connectors, and some 20 amp resettable fuse breakers. Now for the fun part. Let me show you how we're gonna run this in the car. To make our wiring happen, we need to get our fuse box installed first, and that means getting some power and a ground. I'm gonna mount that little fuse box right under the current one. We had to do that a little bit off camera, but as you can see, there's our new fuse block. It's tucked up in there nicely, and that'll let us run all of our wires to it. So let's start running some wiring and we'll get that hooked up. Now, to continue getting our wire ran, we've got our 12 gauge 2-strand wire, and we're gonna run it under the carpet right up to pretty much the middle of where our seat pad is. Seems like a good safe place. Set that out of the way. Now let's see what we got. It's right in the center of where our carpet is. We're just gonna feed the piece of wire under here. And route it right up the side of the carpet. Make sure you route the wire in such a way that we're not gonna hit it when we put in the 4 holes. Remember to make sure you use the correct sides of all your pieces. All right, let's get these put in here. Got that in there. Same thing, goes towards the top. And they say A and B on there, so that's nice. I should have paid attention to that a little earlier. And the other sides do not. I wish they did. That would have made it a little easier to make sure you keep track of all that. All right, but that's our wire, and that's gonna be our connector. So when we get our seats in here, those just snap together and we'll have powered seats. Let's go run some wire to the other side. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. I'm gonna get our trim plate out of here so we can tuck our wire up and around. And we're gonna route our wire up and around the carpet and back over to the fuse box. I'm gonna put the other connector on this side, and I'll show you how I'm gonna tie this all to the fuse box. All right, now that we've got our wires ran up through here, we're gonna tie them back, and I'm gonna split the wires because I'm gonna need the ground wires to be a little bit longer so we can ground them. But I'm gonna use the spade connector for the positive side And we're just going to use these guys to go into our self-tapper to ground them out. In order to power our new fuse box, we're going to jump off the old one. These fuse block taps for glass fuses, these are pretty slick. They just slip right over the end, and you can put a spade connector on there. So let's put this glass fuse back in, and I'll show you how we have all the wire ran. That's got our fuse block secured. It's got our circuit breakers in there, and we have our wire routed up into our fuse box. And we chose to use the rear window heater on this because we don't have one. And it seemed like a good place to start. It's a 25 amp, so you know it's got heavy duty wiring. Let's get the cover on here and we can move on to our seat brackets. Now, in order to make these seat brackets, I've got some 1/4 inch bar stock. We're gonna have to cut this down. It's 4 inches wide and I need a 2-inch strip. So I'm gonna cut them in half and then cut them in half again. Many hours later. You get the idea. I'm going to cut the rest of these up. We have a new tool in our arsenal today. And to make these seat brackets, we're going to be using our Harbor Freight 20-ton press and something pretty slick. This guy right here will allegedly bend 3/8 plate steel. We're going to use it for 1/4 today. And I'm pretty excited to see how this thing turns out. We're going to take these steel strips of this 1/4 inch plate that's 2x6-ish. Let me show you how this thing works. Got my speed square up here. And I'm just making sure that this is all straight that way. All of our bends are straight. Now let's see where this goes. We need a 45 to make a 90. And I thought about heating these steel pieces up before I bent them, but I figured I'd just give this a shot, see how it goes first. 45, so that should be a 90. Let's take it out of here and see how it is. I don't know, that looks pretty good actually. I'm pretty impressed with that. What do you guys think? These things be strong enough for seat brackets? I hope so. Now, let's build one more. I wanted to measure how much drop I had. I was hoping I could get it a little bit tighter, but just due to the limitations in the press, I don't know that we're gonna get there, but I think we're still gonna be right on target for that 2-inch drop. It's got us at 45. I think these will do fine for seat brackets. I think these are nice and beefy. Those bends look good too. Let's mark them up and we'll drill our pilot holes. This is our first real test for this old drill press here, so I'm curious to see how this goes. All right, I'm gonna get our next one set up, get a hole drilled in it, then we're gonna bolt them to the seats and see how it actually looks so we can center up the rear. In order to really set this up and just make it nice, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna locate where these holes need to be. I've got 2 larger bolts. We're just gonna do it the dumb way because sometimes the dumb way just works. And we're gonna mark our center. Those I'm happy with. And the object is to get these seats as far back as possible, but we also want to make sure that we have good spacing for our brackets. Let's take these, put them back in the drill press, and we can get these guys in where they need to be. Holes look pretty good to me. Let's see if these will bolt in. Let's see how these bolt in. All right, it's the next day and we're back out here at it. We've got some more of these brackets to bend up. We still need 1 more for the passenger side, and we need to bend 4 of them for the driver's side. So let's get at it. Let's see what we can do here. Got that hole lined up nicely. And we are gonna have to cut these down. We cut these a little large. All right, we've got both of our seat brackets in place here, and they're snug down to the floor. And yeah, we're gonna have to do some trimming on some of these, but all right, we've got our holes drilled in all of our rear plates. Let's see if we can get our brackets tightened down here. Then we can move on to see what our front ones are gonna need to look like. But these are good. These are nice, strong brackets. So let's go ahead and move this seat back and we can work on the front ones. The front one is gonna be pretty much level. So we might put just a small bend in that, but that's gonna be pretty level. This one on the outside is gonna have to be offset a little bit. Let's start working on some brackets. I have all of my brackets bent up and I think they turned out pretty dang good. This is some pretty beefy metal and there's a lot of excess on some of the sides. So I'm gonna trim some of that up, shape these a little bit with a grinder to take off the rough spots, and then I'm gonna throw a coat of paint on them. It is a little windy today, so we had to find somewhere outside of the wind to do a little bit of painting on these, but got a little Rust-Oleum, throw a little primer on here, and we're gonna throw some black paint on. Let's see how they turn out. Now, as promised, let's talk about these seats and the brackets and some of the great benefits that these seats have that made me choose them. And you can see, I think these turned out pretty dang good. They have the rise in there. They hold in, they're very beefy. They're definitely not going anywhere. So let me know what you guys think of these seat brackets. First and foremost, my favorite thing about these seats, they have seatbelt retainers. Anybody that's ever driven around on these knows exactly how irritating it is when they break on the factory cars. It's just as annoying when you don't have them on aftermarket seats, so these do a great job of not letting the seatbelt cut your neck. My second favorite part of these seats is the fact that the backs flip. If you reach back here, they have a lever, just like the Camaros do, obviously, because they're Camaro seats. But you can get into the back seat very easily. You can reach back there and grab stuff. That was something that we still had to retain.
And the seats are perfect.
Now that we've got these seats wrapped up, I gotta say, making the brackets with that bender is the absolute way to go. 1/4-inch plate, these things aren't going anywhere. The seats themselves, they're very comfortable. They have nice side bolstering. They fit nice in the car, I think. I'm 6'1", I don't have any issue with headroom, and I sit pretty much the same spot where I was before. So no complaints on that. Even with the old seats all the way in the back position on the sliders, I was still kind of close to the dash. Now I feel like I have a little bit of room to actually stretch out and drive. On a road trip, that's a big deal. If this were a Camaro, I would say these seats are an absolute lock. Do they fit in a Trans Am? I don't know. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you guys think. Until next time, thanks for watching.
That's all in the video.